told, let's not waste a minute of your time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Quack Attack is back on the StreamYard. It is I, your neighborhood-friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 44-year-old professional wrestler, Zack, Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside, as always, my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks for the invitation. Appreciate you having me on, bud.
No problem. No
Yeah.
problemo. And you said let's not waste a second of time. Christmas is around the corner. All I want for Christmas is a beautiful 70-year-old with no teeth. You do the rest, right? What a Christmas gift. That's all I want in my stocking is a 70-year-old lady with no teeth, not on meth, but coming off of at least a decade of non-meth addiction. Let's figure out how we're going to ring in the New Year's. Hello, everybody. No, I really wanted to jump into some things we were talking about. And I was talking to Spark. I was talking to a few other people. We were talking about the cutoff, right? We were talking about if the audience isn't behind somebody, right? Like if you're a baby face and the audience isn't behind you, if you're in a tag match and the crowd isn't clapping for the hot tag, do we give the hot tag to the baby faces? Do we allow the baby face to have a comeback if the crowd isn't behind them? And it got me thinking, right? Like, because I don't think we should. I think you have to earn that right, because wrestling is put down in just this formulaic matter. And I was talking to Sparky, and we were talking about referees' discretion. Okay. And I wanted to get your opinion on this. It's like some referees will count to 3 when both guys are in the ring. Some referees will actually kick the wrestler out. And he was talking about a situation on a show where they did both. And I was talking to him, and I think that isn't that part of the story? Like, we're telling a story out here. Shouldn't that be part of the story? We say the referee is every bit as important as the other wrestlers that are in the ring. He's just as big a part of the show, right? So wouldn't that make, if you're creating programming, if you're doing promos, if you're filming a show that airs weekly or whatnot, I think that would be a good argument, man. I think that would be a good argument where, let's just say, a Chico Lopez walks up to Sparky Ballard in the locker room in front of the camera and says, "Hey, man, I know the other guy was in the ring, but the emotion got the best of me," right? Like the heels were interfering the entire match, and the emotion of the audience wanted to see these guys win so bad. I got lost in the moment, and I made the 3 count. And I know I was wrong. And maybe Sparky says, "Hey, the mistakes happen, man. Sometimes referee lets the rules bend a little bit. Sometimes he wants to see the match go on without a disqualification or whatnot. Or maybe it's time for Chico Lopez and Sparky Ballard to mix it up. Maybe it's time for these 2 referees that have been known for their performance to build up and have a one-on-one match to see who's going to be the senior official of Reno Wrestle Factory, Pro Championship Wrestling, West Coast Pro, East Coast Pro, wherever." What are your thoughts on what I'm saying right here about that comeback or about that hot tag? And what are your thoughts on what I'm saying, as crazy as this may sound, referees are just as big a part of the show. We always say it. What's a part of showing the fans that maybe I made a mistake? Because I got something after this I want to talk about too.
Well, so you touched on a couple different things. So the first thing was, do you give the hot tag to the babyface team, right? And I think the answer, you might be able to answer it a couple different ways, right? You're almost saying like you're not going to give the hot tag to the babyface team because they haven't earned it, right? So, but I definitely think it's a two-way street, right? You as the heel are not, you're not putting enough of a beating on them, or you're not reacting with the crowd enough to get them to give sympathy to the baby faces as well. So I think it can definitely be a two-way street. You think about, as a baby face, if you're looking to get the hot tag, you need to have some sort of fight back in there so the crowd doesn't think that you're just dead, right? You're dead cell and you're not fighting back at all. So it's definitely a two-way street when it comes to that stuff. Like, you have to be doing your job as the baby face, but you also have to be doing your job as the heel to create that reaction from the fans where they're going, man, I want this guy to fight back, and we're going to start getting behind him and things like that. So I don't think you can put all the responsibility on just the babyface team. Like, you're not eliciting the sympathy that you need to. So I'm not going to allow you to have your hot tag. I think it has to be both ways, right? You have to put some responsibility on both of those teams. So the heel team definitely has to be doing their job as well, right? So so I think that's kind of my feeling about that. But ironically, Larry and I went to breakfast this morning, and we were having the exact same conversation about refereeing. He said the training session that you guys had right after the Hall of Fame, he said was amazing. He got to hang out with Sparky and ask a lot of questions. And one of those questions was, if the wrestler touches the rope, does the referee, is it their job to break the hold, right? And they were having the discussion about that, right? They were saying, Sparky's like, well, if he just touches it, then no, you don't break the hold. But if the guy grabs a hold of it and you start the count of telling the other wrestler to break the hold, then you make him break the hold. So definitely a little bit of gray area in there, which got us on the topic of you at RWF, right? You getting to the rope, getting pulled off the rope, back into a submission, which got to the point where you tapped out and or verbally said I quit or whatever, which caused a little bit of controversy with the refereeing, right? Which it was for a specific purpose, right? You're trying to lead up to making that a part of the storyline and making the fans care about it and make it something that fans are now looking at and go and maybe paying a little more close attention to the refereeing and things like that. So it does so many things. But kind of reverting back to basketball for me, it is one of those things when you're refereeing a basketball game, there are certain things that maybe you see as a violation and certain things where you don't. And there's definitely gray area there as well. And there's also just certain circumstances where you just didn't see what happened, right? You were looking somewhere else. You got distracted, whatever it was. So, it was just, and I think this whole conversation kind of stemmed from, he was telling me about a promo that you and Dickie were cutting about slamming. Watch when I slam this old man's head into the apron. So it was definitely. It was just it's always great to go hang out with Larry and just listen to just life lessons and things like that, and get to talk wrestling with him and stuff like that. And you could just tell how much he cares about the pro wrestling business and how much he wants to learn and get better, and just and values our opinions. Like I think I seldom give him like super constructive criticism, right? It's one of those things where you're like, the guy's here, he's working hard, you don't want to hurt his feelings, but today he told me just straight up like, hey, if I fuck something up, you need to just let me know, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's free reign now, right? If I see something that goes wrong, right. So so I don't know, but getting back to the whole referee's discretion, man, it's those things where you think that maybe it's not enough to break the count, right? In that case, where the other tag partner is in the ring at the same time, and you make the count. I feel like you see that so much, and that's always the question you ask: is why is the referee counting when the partner is still in the ring, right? So does that fit under the 5 seconds of the interchange, right? Where you just tagged in, you have a little bit of leeway to double team or whatever before the referee gets you out of the ring. Does the fall happen within that time? Does the fall happen outside of that time where the referee is just so keyed in? Like, this might fit into the category where the guy, he doesn't see the other guy in the ring, right? He's just so focused. I gotta check the shoulders, right? And I think it fits into, as much as we say you're not refereeing a real sporting event, it's perceived that you are refereeing a real sporting event. You are the authority. You're the person in charge that is enforcing the rules. I think about officiating in swimming, which I've done in the past, and a lot of times they're like, you shouldn't be looking at one thing when you're supposed to be looking at another. How did you disqualify this person for doing this when you shouldn't have even had your eyes on that? So I could relate that to wrestling as well. You could be like, how could you see that the other person was in the ring when you're supposed to be concentrating on seeing if the guy's shoulders are on the mat, right? So I think you could turn that into a bunch of different things, and I think that's what's so special and exciting about pro wrestling, man. It's all about the storytelling, right? You're trying to get the point across to the fans, and you can take any one of those circumstances and you can turn it into something that benefits you as a promoter or just the person that runs the wrestling promotion, right? Maybe you're not the actual promoter, you're just the head of the place, right? You're the guy that just is the matchmaker. You don't go out and do any promotion at all. You don't hang up any flyers. You don't put anything online to try to get people in the building. You have somebody that's, does that specifically. That's their job,
The promoter.
Yeah.
The big P, the big PP in charge of it all. Sit back, ladies and gentlemen. Shut your fucking mouth and let the promoter handle this motherfucker. Well, I say that because it was a funny situation last night on NXT. They're running on the internet saying, well, did the ref fuck up? The ref counted to 3, and the women's championship, I think it was maybe the North American Championship, and Mariah May from AEW, Blake Monroe, I think her name is now, she wasn't supposed to lose the championship, but she did. And the look on her face said, I fucking didn't kick out, right? I didn't kick out in time. And that ref was like, no, I'm hammering 3. You make sure you kick out. You could tell like maybe a crucifix pin was coming out of the way she had her pin, but NXT immediately just went with this thing, right? They just went with it. And it's getting a lot of buzz. And it's actually looking like it's going to maybe be the best storyline that they've had. And I think a lot of storylines actually happen when it's not supposed to happen or someone didn't show up. We always talk about that. So just the importance of the refs, man. Like I think about Karina Kyle. I think about Chico Lopez. I think about Sparky Ballard. I think about back when I was at APW, Tom Castor, who now goes by the name of Derek Sanders on NXT. You know, you think about Mike Chioda, you think about the Hebner, you know, great referees. Charles Robinson's a great referee, but you think about all these great referees. I love refereeing, man. I did it at the Cup, and you don't realize how demanding it is as a referee. You don't realize the importance of the referee. We talked about that many, many times. Great matches, good matches, okay matches, a referee that's involved with the performers. You know, and there was one thing that we had talked about, and I couldn't tell you right now what episode it was, but everybody was complaining about John Cena giving up. 23 years, the message he gave to the fans was never give up, and he gave up, and he had that smile on his face when he did it. And I remember going back, and I've seen some stuff online saying, oh, fuck that. Jey Uso tapped Gunther out with that reverse choke, that rear naked choke. And I remember saying something about him at, I believe, the opener at WrestleMania, tapping him out. And you said something so clever at the time. You said, well, they protected the finishing move, right? So the fact that they're saying John Cena just tapped out to this move, he gave up. He's never given up in 23 years. It's over. Your childhood dreams are done. Find a new hero. But this goes back to when Jey Uso at WrestleMania and Gunther tapped out to his own finishing move. And now John Cena, for the first time in 23 years, has given up. They have done a very good job. And you were 100% right in that past podcast when I said, hey, I don't think Jay should have tapped Gunther out. I think they could have got a bigger pop. And you said you were on the other end of it and made it a very good point saying,
yeah, it was about the quickness of it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think you should have tapped out so quickly. And it's like you're protecting your own finish by tapping out quickly and showing how dangerous the finish is, right? Like, hey, you know, you could get caught in this rear naked choke and, you know, your lights are going to go out in a matter of seconds, right? So, and you can make that argument of, you know, John Cena was in it over and over and over. And, which is, you know, I think an argument that I've made, you know, long ago on all types of different things. You see UFC happen one night and a guy gets his fucking shoulder taken out with a Kimura or whatever, and then you see somebody in the same hold on a wrestling show and they're in it for several minutes. But go ahead, continue.
No, I wanted you to get active in this because you were talking. I had said he should have beat him with the pin and it would have got what I felt would have got a bigger pop to open up WrestleMania. And you pointed out the other side of the coin, you know what I mean? The other side of the pillow, which ended up being, you know, cooler than the other side of the pillow when you flip it over, was, man, we sit here and we see all this criticism that goes towards Triple H and WWE and all this. But the truth of the matter is they have known John Cena last year at Money in the Bank announced that this was going to be his last year. It was the retirement tour, right? So they knew this a year and a half ago. You heard Paul Heyman talking about that he sits in the WrestleMania meetings, the important ones, and they have them planned out 3 WrestleManias in advance, not just this one coming up, but next year's and the next year's. And they start laying some seeds and ideas down for probably the 4th year. So these guys have known for a year and a half that Cena was going to retire. They know that his last match, they had to have known that Gunther was going to be the guy, right? And
in theory, yeah.
Yeah. And you go back to WrestleMania when Jay tapped him out with his move, they were planting seeds in our heads, so much to the point that we were here on the podcast and I'm going, I think he tapped out too quick. Maybe he should have pinned him. And then you had a difference of opinion, which was opened my eyes. And I'm like, no, you're right. They protected this move. And this move has been protected so much and on both ends. Gunther tapping and Gunther making people tap. And John put up a good fight. But that rear naked choke won Jey Uso his world championship at WrestleMania by tapping out Gunther. That also won Gunther world championships, and that just made John Cena tap and give up for the first time in 23 years. So we talk long term, right? Man, they planted that in our heads a long time ago, and I think that's just fucking magic, man, because we sit on here all day and talk about getting finishers over, making them important. The most important finishing move in the WWE isn't the STFU or the attitude adjustment or the five knuckle shuffle or anything. The most important and impressive move, and they strategically did it in the last year and a half, is the rear naked choke by Gunther. It shows that he can beat anybody with it, and he can also fall on his own sword and get beat with it too. And you look at Gunther now that he's the heel, he's the dark villain, he's Darth Vader, right? He's gonna take all this with him. But like I was talking to you about too, like, I was talking to some other people. Gunther's been a 2-time world champion. He's the longest reigning intercontinental champion. Sorry, plugging my own shit over here. But what hasn't Gunther done? He's gone from number 1 all the way to 30 to the very end, the first 2 starting and the final 2 at the end. Gunther hasn't won the Royal Rumble, and Gunther hasn't been the big champ, the WWE champ. And they have put him in position to not only be that with that left to accomplish in his career, they've lined up some AJ Styles, some Brock Lesnar's, some Randy Orton's, some guys in his way to continue on the reign of the career killer. He killed Goldberg's career. He killed Cena's career. He's got more to kill. He's got the main championship to win. He's the big Darth Vader villainous heel now, and he's going to take that John Cena loss with him forever. And most importantly, who is the baby face at the end of this all that ends up beating Gunther after he does all this, that then becomes the big star of the professional wrestling industry? Beautifully set up, man. No matter what anybody says out there, WWE they told you a story, man. They told you a really good story.
Right. I was just listening to a podcast with John Cena talking to Chris Van Vliet, and he said that he knew that he was going to retire this year. I think he said in 2022, he made the decision that he knew that this was going to be the last year that he was doing it. And, and it came down to all the extra stuff that he's doing. And, he was talking about, movie roles and, in order to wrestle while you're doing movie roles, and if you're leaving the set, there's insurance involved as far as ensuring that, if you got hurt pro wrestling and you couldn't return to the movie set for the movie that you're currently making, that, that there need to be insurance involved, and that he was willing to kind of take some of that onto himself, basically invest into himself to give himself the opportunity to do what he loved, which is pro wrestling. But yeah, man, it was a very interesting story to think about. Like, you just said it. They've got WrestleManias planned out several years in advance. And I would have never thought that was the case until listening to that podcast today, where he's like, we had this, not necessarily this whole run, because obviously they did the heel turn. They went back on that and things like that. So, but just all of the things that, that they had planned for years and years ago, that this was going to be kind of the last run and things like that. So, but it's just interesting to know that these things are in place for such a long time. Not surprising though, because I know that you always hear the stories of all the production guys sitting around the pool at Vince's house and planning out the entire year, WrestleMania to WrestleMania. So it's not surprising, and obviously, what a great idea to have, to go, hey, we're going to plan it out from right now till a year from now, so we kind of know what direction we're going in. We've got the finish line planned out, and then we have to kind of fill in the blanks of how to get to the finish line. So, you'd love to do that as a promoter, and we've talked about so many times that you run into somebody getting hurt, sick, whatever, and they can't make a booking, right? They have another booking closer to home, and I think for us in the independent world here, it's very it's understandable, right? It's like, oh, you can come drive 5 hours to get to my promotion, or you can work at a promotion 20 minutes from your house. And it's just like, where does your loyalty lie? Do you understand what the goal is for the promotion that's 5 hours away that's using you, and has a plan for you for the next 12 or 18 months, or is it more important that you stay home, closer to home, because it's an easy drive? You can get home quicker, several beers afterwards, whatever it is, whatever your reasoning is.
Advisors.
That's it. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think it would be great to be able to do that, to go, hey, we're going to plan this out, 12, 18, 2 years in advance, where we're going to get and put it all together, and have all the pieces fit, and everything goes to plan. That'd be fantastic, but just not realistic, I don't think.
Well, they have contracts too. They know when
Right.
contracts are expiring. Their guys are on contracts. Their guys can't work anywhere else but there. And I think that's what hinders AEW. You know what I mean? Ricochet right now, a big time wrestling down in Newark. They're sold out 2 weeks in advance. Starboy Charlie is stepping in the ring with Ricochet. And then I believe they're called the Gates of Agony. They're going to be on the card too. But these are AEW premier talent that are able to go out and independently be booked on promotions, which is cool for the promoter. But if you're running a company, do you want to be more WWE, where these are our superstars? Maybe you can get them on an autograph signing or catch them down the street to take a picture with. But if any money is going to be made, it's going to be made through our brand, through our company, or do you like the idea that these guys can go independently work other places and create money for other people? It's a business, you know what I mean? Like, and there's no rules to business. It's a cutthroat thing, man. And that's what's going on. So WWE can book in advance. People talk about risk, no reward. Reward, what's risky? I was talking the other day. I said, if you go to work or you got money, you can book former stars and big indie talent and guys that are on AEW, Japan, whatever. You can book these guys. I don't really feel like the draw is worth it sometimes, but you can go out and book somebody else's talent that's been created and bank your money on it. And maybe you lose your money, or maybe you make your money back and then some. But I feel like the biggest risk you can take in this business is taking virtual no-namers, nobodies from the ground up that had, and developing their career and make a living, help them to make a living and build your company up off the back of your own talent. Taking a former talent that's no longer working anywhere, or a guy that started somewhere else that just never found the groove, and bringing them into your company and turning their careers around or extending their careers even longer. The big risk in this business is, can I take somebody that came in and didn't even know how to step through the ropes, and can I make that person a household name in my region or territory that can generate money for them and can generate money for me as the promoter, owner, CEO, whatever, so I don't have to go to work. You know what I mean? So the real risk is in banking on yourself, man. And that's where the booking has become easier for me, recently is I've got my own talent. And I'm willing to use my own talent because I know my own talent isn't going anywhere. And if my own talent does go somewhere, they're going to let me know in advance, and I can book accordingly or do what I got to do around that. And if my own talent that I've created, that we've created here, ends up going somewhere else, then that's just all advertisement for Pro Championship Wrestling and Primetime University. And I think that's the risk that we're trying to take here in professional wrestling, man. But I mean, it's just got to be so much. We always talk about, is it easier to book for WWE? They got contracts. These guys are guaranteed have to be there. Or is it harder because there's so much TV to fill? I was watching David Letterman with Michael B. Jordan. Okay. And this was the cool thing. Letterman asked him, and B. Jordan, and this was a crazy thing, but Letterman asked him, what do you prefer, doing TV series or movies? And he said, well, what's the difference? And he said, well, TV, they get to, the audience gets to see you every week, and they get to watch your character develop and get closer to you and your character. He said the movies, were banking that these guys are going to load their kids up in a car and drive to the event, to the movie theater, buy a ticket and some popcorn, and sit for 2 hours to watch you, right? And the cool part about professional wrestling is we get both. We have the opportunity for both, man. You need to see us on a weekly basis in some form to get involved in the character so we can develop it so you want to come watch us. And we also offer you the ability to come watch us 2 or 3 times a month in the indie level too. So I thought that was really cool. He's talking to Michael B. Jordan about that, and it's like, do you want to be do you want to be a guy who's seen on TV, or do you want to be the guy that wrestles the pay-per-view, which is the movie? Wrestling, we get both, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really cool to be able to do that. To be able to try to have some sort of weekly product where the people can kind of get invested in the storyline and go, okay, well, the next live event, I'm definitely going to be there because I kind of want to see how this unfolds. And so definitely a huge advantage to that, I think. And, if you can get those fans to be invested in what you're doing character-wise on your weekly programming, that they're willing to come out and spend their money to sit in a seat and watch it live, and maybe buy some merchandise and snack bar items and things like that. Then obviously you're kind of that's why you're creating your weekly product, is to try to generate those people to come in person and watch what you're trying to do. So definitely something that you'd want to do. But yeah, so I'm not sure what would be better as far as if you had contracted guys where you think, like, I have a set roster of guys I can do stuff with, and and then at that point, do you separate? Obviously they've done brand splits before, and do you separate people with the amount of television time that you've got? Do you try to push somebody on all the different products and you get to see this guy several times a week? Or do you keep them isolated to one time a week, and that's the television time they're going to get on that 3 hours of programming, and then another roster of people on another set of television stuff that people can get invested in there. Like, it's definitely got to be a balancing act at the highest level to try to from a business perspective, you're paying all these people to be on a contract, right? And it's just like, are you wasting your money because there's definitely going to be people that are sitting on the sidelines because you don't have any creative stuff for them to do at the point. But at the same time, we talk about injuries and sickness, and things happen where you always want to have those people that are kind of chomping at the bit, waiting in the back for their opportunity get to show what they can do, right? So somebody gets hurt or someone gets sick or some storyline just isn't working. The fans aren't invested in it. Then you get somebody else that you got on contract and you rotate them in. So I think that there's got to be positives and negatives to that. And obviously the AEW thing, when you're kind of and I know it was like that with TNA, Impact Wrestling, where you could book these guys through that promotion to come and work on your independent show, but then you kind of come across the issue where how hard is that person going to work? How big of a show are they going to put on? Because they don't want to get hurt on an independent wrestling show when their main focus is the promotion that they're working for, that they've got a kind of an open-ended contract with, where they're working there as their main gig, and they're kind of getting farmed out to independent promotions to kind of pad their bank account a little bit. So I don't know, man. I think there's definitely positives and negatives on both of those scenarios. But obviously, as a promoter, you love the fact that you're able to bring in a name that potentially is going to bring in ticket sales, right? So I mean, you're talking about BTW already 2 weeks in advance, selling out. That's just anticipation of, hey, I want to see this guy wrestle. I want to see him up close and personal, and maybe get his autograph and a photo and some merchandise directly from him. So I don't know. I think that's it's great for a promoter as long as you're doing your job and getting out there and getting people to come and know about that you're bringing in somebody that they might want to see more than just your local homegrown talent guys. So definitely positives and negatives for both of those scenarios.
Well, that's the thing too with BTW. They've been selling out so much here lately, right? Selling out the 400 fans or whatever. It's in that ballpark. It's between 400 and 500 is the limit to the Newark pavilion. And that's where they've been running since 29 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're trailing behind them at 26, going on 27, and it's like you're selling out with 2 weeks left to go. If I was the promoter, especially after 3 or 4, maybe 5 sellouts, I might think about going to find a bigger venue, because clearly you still have 2 weeks left of ticket sales and the day of the event. So why have between 400 and 500 and close? There's my ceiling when you could get another 500-600. The ability to draw off of AEW talent or former WWE talent, whatever, is clearly there in the Bay Area in that promotion. You know what I mean? So BTW right now is, are they the king of the Bay Area with what they're bringing in, with what they're putting on? I know when I was talking to Spark, they had promoted Karrion Kross and Scarlett, I think, his girlfriend, and they had to cancel. So, what do you do in that situation where you bring in a name and you sell the place out? Are the fans happy with what they got, or is there a VIP packages and signings that you have to reimburse, whether it's through online Tix or Eventbrite or something like that? I don't know, but I feel like even they are playing it safe by running in the same venue. You're selling this venue out. If you sell a venue out 2 weeks before the show is happening, especially in wrestling, I think it's like if you can generate, what was the rule, 30% at the gate of your pre-sale tickets, that's what it translates over the years to, is like, man, whatever your pre-sale are, you're going to probably get 30% of your pre-sale at the thing. So, I don't know what 30% of 400 or whatever is, but that's an easy 100, 200 more people, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So if your ceiling is 400 fans and you're selling this place out, I know that venue has been where you've ran all these years. but it's a new BTW, right? So you're doing new things, you're changing things up. Maybe it's time to go, fuck, man, we have outgrown. If you have 2 sellouts in a row at whatever venue you're running, you've outgrown that venue. If you've had 4 or 5, you have 100% outgrown that venue. So to me, you're a few shows behind. The pavilion seems like it's going to sell out, right? It's going to sell out. That's where the fans know to go. So run a couple shows, run a show at the pavilion and put 300-400 in the pavilion on a monthly basis and give them a bigger show. Bring in the big names for a bigger show, find another venue, get 1,000, 2,000, whatever you can get. Cause we don't know what BTW can draw with these names they're bringing in, because the ceiling was closed 2 weeks before the event at whatever that capacity is already. So there's more tickets they can sell. They're losing out on they're losing out on more money. If you sold this thing out with 2 weeks before, you can sell, excuse me, man, you can sell a lot more tickets in 2 weeks. And you can definitely sell the day of the event, man. A lot of people don't know what the fuck they're going to do until going into the weekend, man. I've had shitty online ticket sales, and then literally the night before, the day before, and going up into the event, you're like, fuck, we were at this number down here, and now we're at this number up here, and still climbing, like, because people don't know. They don't know what they're going to do until the weekend. A lot of times I don't know what I'm going to fucking do until the weekend unless I have something planned. And
Right.
I didn't know. I didn't know I was going to Stars of Wrestling. And then I had to get up the next day and be down at the, I was down at the Ugly Dojo at 9:45 for the seminar and the matinee show. And then I'm up the next day at the building at 9:00. And next thing you know, I've been to San Leandro, show, back, not much sleep. Now I'm down at the Carmichael running a 2-hour seminar with Oliver John, and then I'm watching a show, then I'm critiquing, then I'm back home and I'm tired, and then I'm over here at the building from 6 hours or something, 9 in the morning to 4:15, and then I watch a 45-minute episode of Landman with Billy Bob Thornton, the new episode. And then you send me the StreamYard, and I'm out here doing an hour-long podcast, and then I finally get to throw my feet up and go to bed. And that's not because I have to do that. That's because I want to do that. So, no risk, no reward, man. Get a bigger venue, because
of course, but I think it comes down to, you probably, and I thought about this just today. We were looking at new buildings for a school. So, just thinking about, what we used to have, where we used to sell, 110 tickets every month and sell it out every month. And, what if we still had that? What if we were still paying the rent from that versus what they're looking to get for rent nowadays? And, there's the comfort of the building that you've been running in that maybe is still giving you a really great deal on the rental price and things like that. And maybe you don't want to go away from that because, you're getting a good deal there. I think about the building that we used to run in that was, 2,200 square feet, and we paid $1,050 for it, and nowadays you can't find anything for less than $1 a square foot. Right. So you would double that rent, and then you're thinking, okay, well, what would I need to do on a monthly basis to pay that rent? So, maybe that comes into the equation where, you go and you find a bigger venue that's going to fit more people, but, are the additional ticket sales going to make up for the additional money that you're going to have to pay to rent that venue? And so all those things obviously factor in. And, we kind of look at the big picture where it's like you could sell an extra 200 tickets, right? But you just don't know. Like what does the a larger venue cost? Does the insurance cost more because you're going to have more fans in the building? And I think you have to factor in all those things. I think a lot of times you have people that think Oh, it's a piece of cake to run a wrestling show, right? It's easy, right? All I'd have to do, I mean, guaranteed sellout. I could promote the shit out of this, and I'll have a guaranteed sellout. It's like, yeah, well, what's it going to cost you to rent the venue? What's it going to cost you to get talent that people are going to, maybe you sell it out once, but what's it going to take for people to come back and want to see that again? You always talk about the first time you run somewhere. A lot of times it's going to be a pretty good draw, right? But the whole goal is, how do I get those people that saw that show to come back and do it again, right? Was it worth their money? Was it worth their time to get them to come back? So I don't know, man. I feel like we have people that ask about that. Hey, what's it gonna? I want to bring pro wrestling to my town. What's it going to cost, right? And you have whatever your price is, it's going to cost you this much money, right? Tell me where we're running. Send me the insurance, right? Tell me that we're covered. Obviously, it's upon that person to now make their money back, right? If you think you're that great of a promoter, then put your money where your mouth is and do it, right? Pay for someone to bring a show to your town and go sell it out and make a shit ton of money, right? We always talk about that as a promoter, right? Is it going to be more beneficial to sell someone a show and have a capped off price that this is as much as I can make on this show, or is it more beneficial to go somewhere and do the promoting yourself and bet on you, right? I'm going to go to this town and I'm going to go promote it and I'm going to sell way more tickets than I would have if I just had somebody else promote it for me.
Hey, it's going to cost you an arm. It's going to cost you a leg. And it's going to cost you just a good old head push. You know what I mean? Hey, what do you got going? Hey, let me see that palm of your hand. Hey, just give me a sweet little head push. Just nudge me in the right direction. Or oops, or am I going to go? I'm resisting. I'm resisting the palm of your hand. My head's not a basketball, dickhead. Leave me be. Ugly started posting the NorCal United show coming up on February 7th in Pacheco, man. Definitely going to be the most stacked card to ever walk into a East Bay Pro Pacheco Square Gardens, man. I was Big Ugly versus Boyce LeGrand for the first time. I believe it was Dave Reckoning versus Jason Xavier. Charisma from Revolution versus did you see who the
No, I didn't see anything today. I think the only things that I had seen so far was Ugly versus Boyce, you versus Thatcher. And I don't know if I'd seen anything else. I saw that he said he was going to post something more this morning, but I didn't see it or it hadn't got posted when I was taking a look at different social media stuff. So I didn't hear about anything. I didn't hear about Dave Reckoning or I thought I saw another match that I wasn't familiar with one of the guys. But
I'm pumped about that one, man. I was supposed to wrestle Thatcher. God, it must have been 10 years ago at the Hall of Fame in Pacifica. Sparky had booked that as the main event, and I was going through problems and divorce and all kinds of shit back then. And I pulled out of the show. Jeff Cobb moved in, and I guess they had a really good match. So here I am 10 years later. Thank you, Big Ugly. Thank you, NorCal United, Ugly Dojo. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, man, because this is one on the bucket list, man. And when I say this is one that I've got something to prove, I've got something to prove. And it's not a mark thing, like I'm gonna go out there and man, I'm gonna fucking hurt myself. But no, I feel like I'm a very skilled technical wrestler. You know what I mean? But I feel like submissions and technical wrestling, I feel like there's not a lot of guys around that I get to showcase that against. I feel like earlier on in my career, when I was going to Japan and working in the main events and the semi-mains at APW with that internet belt, I felt like there was a lot of talented technical guys, man. But I mean, along the way over the years, Oliver John, Scotty Aboot was somebody that I could really go with. When I was younger with Rick Luxury, but I feel like January, really working on my cardio. Really, Doc Haywood's been getting on to me for a long time. You're so sore, you're moving tables today, and I was telling you I'm so sore. Yeah, because I'm not flexible. So like those are goals that I have right now on this new diet and everything else. My new goals are get the abs back. Get the abs back, cardiovascular conditioning, get that up, and get my flexibility in a place it's never been. So those are 3 goals that I've really attacked, and I turned the school into that too, where everybody send me a shirtless pic because I'm leading the charge. I'm leading the charge on this because I'm 44. I'm still going, right? Unless something crazy happens to me in the next year, knock on wood, it's like I've made it this far. I still feel good. And, I was listening to Will Ospreay talk about some moves that he can't do anymore since when he was younger on the Chris Van Fleet show. And he was saying that, you get older, man, and you change, you transition into a different performer. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm a different performer, but I feel like execution wise, story wise, like all these things that I've worked my entire career for, I feel like I'm at my very best right now. So I don't feel like wrestling Tim is going to test like my cardio like wrestling in Nevada does. You know what I mean? But I want to go into 2026 in the best physical shape I've been in. I want to be in the best cardio. I want my cardio back. I want to be able to breathe well and not fight for air, which is, these got to go too, which I've already accepted. And I want flexibility, man. So I want to be around a while. And there's a reason that God has kept me around and made all these amazing changes in my life. So I'm very excited about that one. And another one that I wanted, and I talked to him at the end of Stars of Wrestling, is Anton Voorhees. I love that guy, man. I love that guy. And I told him at a full queer show, I said, hey, man, I still want to work you. You're on the list, But when I saw him at full queer, he was going 100 miles an hour. And I was watching this and I was like, I'm tired just watching you. I don't want to do that. And then I saw him at Stars of Wrestling against Dom Sirius, their television champion who works at Next Level and BTW and some places like that. Good little talent. And I talked to him afterwards, and I'm like, man, you were very interactive with the crowd, and you were working into this stuff. I'm like, that's what I want to do. But yeah, this Tim Thatcher match is very exciting for me, man. This is bucket lister right there. I'm very excited to get out there with Tim and have the chance to do this again. But also, like, I want to work with Anton Voorhees, man. I think he's an extremely talented individual. He was telling me his age. I don't want to give it away on the thing. I asked him, don't ask a woman her age, but he told me his age, and I'm like, Jesus, man, and you can still jump and move around athletically like that? That's impressive because we're not too far apart in that age realm. So as we're closing in on 5 minutes left in this podcast, what are some of your goals, Paul? Like what's some bucket list stuff? I got my bucket list match coming up on February 7th, and I got the big ugly JD Bishop to thank for that, man. Thank God for giving me this opportunity, man. he's doing some amazing things, man, and I'm 100% behind him. And I just want to know what's some 5 minutes remaining in this podcast. Let's close out here. What's some bucket list shit that you want to make sure now that you're back in shape and you're back in the ring finally? What would you like to accomplish, and who would you like to work here in 2026 coming up?
Well, I think I'm always like kind of I want to work with the younger guys, right? You had kind of mentioned the bigger guy from the Gator Boys, you know, and that sparked me like, oh, maybe I could have a good match with that guy. Like I've always liked those big guys, that Drake Frost. I feel like I always have really good matches with him. So I don't know. And Malachi, I used to have good matches with. Luster's a bigger guy, good matches with him. Like I think those guys, you know, it's a different thing, right? I'm used to wrestling the way smaller guys, and wrestling the bigger guys, I think is always kind of a challenge. Like, what do you do? You know, and you think about like, you know, could I have a really good match with Alex Ace? You know, I think that would be one of those things where put yourself to the test, right? See what you can do. What type of story can you tell? Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just, you know, and still for me, I'm in that same, you know, the same mindset, right? I just came from 90 days ago from 360 pounds, and I was 322 this morning. So I still want to get closer to 300, man. Like, so, you know, I'm kind of, as you're talking, my ears are perking up. I was eating breakfast with Larry today. He's like, hey, you got to stop eating all those fucking carbs. Every time we go to breakfast, you're eating French toast. Like, stop doing that shit. Get yourself some, you know, get some proteins, man. Get some, you know, and I know better, you know, like
You do.
I did a bodybuilding show. I was training for a second one when I ruptured my Achilles. I know what the things I should be doing are. I'm just not doing them. So, so that's another thing, right? This isn't like the, you know, new year, new me. This has been since, you know, I turned 50 in September. So that was my, you know, come to Jesus. Like, dude, you got to get this shit in order. So I don't know, 40 pounds down in the past, you know, 90 days or so, a little over that. So it's just, you know, for me, it's just, that's the process, man. I'm going to keep grinding away. And, you know, that's the goal, man. I need to get to 300. I feel like, you know, my most agile was 275 ish. But I feel like the 300 mark is probably going to be where I'm most effective and agile, movable, still athletic, all those things. So, so I don't know about bucket list, man. I want to do this for a few more years and see where it goes, you know? So, so that's kind of where I'm at. Flexibility, I think, is a huge thing. Larry was telling me about Doc sending him the probably something from DDP yoga today, and he's like, and I did it, and it was great, man. So that was another light bulb in my head. Like, oh, you know, you hear about it all the time, you know, and I don't know if I don't take people seriously that, hey, get more flexible. Cause I was always a guy when I was playing basketball, never stretched, just roll the ball out and go play, you know? So,
Oh yeah.
So obviously
That's
50 years
probably
old,
why.
man.
That's probably why there's a ruptured Achilles. You know what I mean?
That
You
is
know,
definitely.
my dad asked me Sunday morning, I think it was, or one of the, maybe Monday. He said, heading down to the donut shop. You want me to get you anything? And I said, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, I want something. I want a couple glazed twists. You know what I mean? I want a fucking apple fritter. I want a goddamn bear claw with, you know, I want to break it open with apples and cinnamon in it. You damn right I want that. But I can't. I can't because I don't. I have a plan that I have to stick to. Do I want a fucking pizza? Honey barbecue wings and honey barbecue sauce, chicken and sandwiches are back at KFC, man. I would love to spend 32 pointless dollars on 20 honey barbecue wings to feel down to my fat ass in my sides. But with that, Paul, 2026 is going to be our year. Hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that subscribe button. We got some changes coming up here. We're going to have to change the channel. So hopefully we're going to be taking you subscribers that have been shitting on us for the last, I'd say 25 episodes with no movement on that. And let's move you over to a new one. We're going to give you some shorts. We're going to give you some reels. Hell, I might even pant you. And remember at the start of this episode, if you subscribe to the channel and keep following us on the move over, I got a set my Christmas gift I'll share with you. A 70-year-old lady who used to do meth, who now has no teeth. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.